Laura here. I thought I'd pop on before the episode starts and give a little trigger warning to the first part of this podcast. Roxanne opens up about something she's been going through for the past few months. She speaks about polycystic ovaries, PCOS and blood tests. Please skip to 2120 if you would like to skip ahead.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Do It For Yourself podcast. I am your host Foxanne.
And I am your host Laura, and this is a podcast for creatives by creatives.
This podcast is a mix of realness and feel-good vibes from your two new northern besties.
That is all.
That's us.
Yeah.
Ding. I'm going to make you to put a ding in again. I really enjoyed the ding of the last one.
Did you like it? Yeah. I hope you guys enjoyed it as well. Because I was thinking, actually, I need to make sure I put it so that it isn't too high pitched. So if anyone's in the headphones, they're not like, whoa!
Oh, God. No, I did enjoy it. I did enjoy that one.
Good. I'm very glad. So this is our third podcast. We can't believe it, can we?
I'm
Number
so
3.
excited. I love this.
Me too.
I just feel so positive to it. Like whenever we meet up and we record, or like we're on FaceTime and we're chatting about it, it feels like the right thing, and it feels like the right thing to do. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like we've got, I don't know if it'll be out by then, but potentially got like an interview in a magazine.
Yeah? Can't believe it.
And then we've got loads of really good guests lined up. I can't believe it. Like we're getting inboxes and like DMs on inboxes as if we're on Facebook. We're getting DMs and it's like, oh, I'd love to be on it. And I'm like, oh my God, people actually want to be on it.
Yeah, I can't believe it. So yeah, it's our third episode, and today we're going to be talking about why it's okay to fail.
Yeah.
All about failing today.
All about failing. We're here for the failure.
Do you want to start with how's your life been since we last recorded?
I don't know, a bit weird. I felt the pressure of the new year, and because it didn't live up to the expectations of what I wanted it to, I felt really disappointed. Just before the new year, no, maybe not. Maybe like end of November, beginning of December, I was like, this new year's going to be amazing. It's going to be fab. Like, I've got all these things planned, and I was planning loads of stuff and putting everything down in my calendar, and obviously like doing this, which is great, and then shutting the shop. So I know that I'm busy. But then when last week of December, like the last 2 weeks of December, I ended up having having to have my blood test. I won't go into it, but then that's proper like sent me off on a tiz. So like all over Christmas I was worrying, and then all over into the new year. And I think because the new year didn't start off and I didn't wake up on January the 1st feeling like fresh and like revitalised.
But who does? Most people are hungover, do you know what I mean?
But exactly. But like it wasn't just that, it was like seeing stuff on social media as well, being like, oh my God, I can't wait for this year. This year's going to be amazing. And like, I'm feeling so pumped about it. And I was like, I'm sat in bed crying. I have no idea what I'm going to do. And then like money issues came up. Well, as we were speaking about in the last podcast episode, I went into the new year skint, like in debt. So I was like, oh my God. And I've told myself that I was going to get out of debt like this year and do this. But I don't know if I set like too high expectations for myself.
No.
But stayed in bed for like a week. The first week of January, I just practically stayed at home, didn't really do anything. I kind of did the odd job here and there. But then met with Laura. We went out for a walk.
Ding.
And we had a really good chat, and I've just felt so much better since then. I'm like going out for walks with Luna, and we're going to the studio more, and I feel like I'm getting there now. I feel like it'll be fine. I feel like everything will be fine. So I'm feeling good now. I weren't
good.
I weren't before.
Sometimes though, like, do you know what? I was feeling in a bit of a rut as well.
Yeah.
And when you're like, oh, do you want to go on a walk? I was like, right, okay, we'll go on a walk. She's not feeling great. Whereas I probably wouldn't have if you hadn't have messaged. And I never go out for walks. And everyone always says, oh, you know, go out for walks. It'll really help with your mental health. And I'm like,
yeah.
But it does. It does help.
I was thinking that. I remember when I like go to the doctors and stuff about my mental health, and I was like, oh, you should really go out for more walks. I'm like, you should really go out for more walks.
It is annoying though, because sometimes I'm like, so stuck and so sad that I can't get out of bed. So, like, how do you expect
Yeah.
me to go for a walk?
Exactly. It's easier said than done when you're in. Well, when I'm in like one of my episodes, like it is very hard to like get out of the house because like obviously like we've spoken about this before. Like I have really bad like anxiety about being out by myself. Like I will get into it, but I feel like I'm gonna get kidnapped and. So that's my fear. So like going out and going for a walk is stress inducing for me. Yeah. Whereas since I've got Luna, obviously I have to take Luna out for a walk.
That's what I was gonna say. It's so good for you that you've got a dog now, and it's forcing you out, and hopefully it's making you feel good.
Yeah, and it's helping me shift some of that weight.
Not that you need to.
Not that I need to, but I feel I'm feeling a lot healthier because. Obviously, we've had like 2 years of lockdown and I work from home, didn't really get out to do anything. So, like, I remember Max is a gardener and obviously he does about 20,000 steps a day, just like casually. Oh, wow. That's his like day to day because he's going up and down these big gardens with his lawnmower. And he was like, how many steps on average do you do? And I remember it was like coming up to the end of lockdown. And I was like, it says I'm averaging 400 steps a day. And he was like, Roxanne, this ain't it. He was like, you're going to have to just... That you're going to have to go out for a... This was before Luna. He was like, you're going to have to go out for a walk. And I was like, yeah, but I don't want to.
Yeah.
Going outside by myself is scary. I'll get bored. I can't. Yeah. I was saying to you before, I was like, when I take Luna for a walk, I find it really boring because like my starting point and my finishing point is the same point. So, like, I feel like I'm just, like, aimlessly walking around for nothing. Obviously, I know it's not for nothing. But, like, when we met you the other day, like, I was walking... My finishing point was your house. And then from your house, it was around the field. And then from around the field, I'm with you anyway. So, we're talking. So, we was out for about 2 hours.
I couldn't believe it when I got in because I forgot my phone, didn't I? I left it on charge. So, I came back and I was like... I've been gone for 2 hours. When George got home, because obviously I never do any exercise, I never go for walks. George got home and I went, guess what? Went for a walk earlier. Guess how long I was out for? And he went, and I went, 2 hours. He said, what?
See, that's it. This is what we're going to have to start doing more of.
It was like, good.
Well, we did, because like I think we have mentioned before, like, you only live...
It's probably a 20-minute walk-ish.
A 20-minute walk away from me.
How fast you walk.
But, like, we can do... So, so what we did was I walked to your house and then we walked around for about 2 hours and then we walked back to my house and then you walked to your house from my house as well.
Yeah, so we did the same amount of steps, really. Yeah,
but I really enjoyed it and it is great and I am feeling a lot better. So, like, anybody listening, if you're feeling a little bit crap, even though it's really hard... stick a podcast on. So listen to this podcast while you go out for a walk.
Oh, yeah. Obviously, every Tuesday.
Every Tuesday, make it like a weekly thing. If you don't go out and go for a walk, stick this podcast on and just walk around places. Keep your wits about you, though.
Oh, yeah.
That's my anxiety kicking in. I'm like, keep your wits about. Whenever I'm walking and I had headphones on, I always have like one ear out so I can hear what's going on around me. But I think that's just... Lady things.
Lady things. I'm glad you're feeling better.
How have you been?
I feel like we're not starting off on a good note.
I know, but this is why we're doing this. It's real.
We've got to be honest.
Some weeks will be great.
Yeah, we can't have toxic positivity here. I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to say I had the best Christmas ever and I'm feeling fantastic because I'm not. I mean, I am feeling great today, but I got COVID over Christmas. So what date is it now? 13th of Jan. Oh, unlucky 13. 13th of Jan. So it was a couple of weeks ago now. I had COVID. Yeah. And I was just on my own and my boyfriend caught COVID before me. So he was allowed out before me. And sent me into a spiral. And I was saying last week, I was like, I'm on antidepressants now and it's the best thing I've ever done, made me feel better. And then I went into this spiral and I was just like, they're not working. But I was saying to you, wasn't I think I've got PMDD, which is like when you're on like the third week of your cycle, about to have your period, your PMS is really outrageous, like abnormally worse. So I think I'm going to have to maybe see if it happens next month.
Yeah.
God, George was like... Can you just warn me when it's going up to your third week? I was like, yeah, I will.
Well, that's how I
Yeah.
I probably will go into it because we've made a really a weird segue into it.
Yeah.
I wasn't going to mention it, but whatever. I rang the doctors, didn't I? And I
Yeah.
was like, I think I might have PMDD because I mentioned something on my story and someone was like, I have PMDD. That's exactly how I feel. So it's like, it is like the 3rd week of your cycle. And then she was like, yeah, like it is like quite a new thing that's come about. And like obviously women's health is just not great, is it? Like,
it's not prioritised, is it?
It's not prioritised at all. But my doctor was like, yeah, like this sounds like if we can put you on antidepressants. But I said that I don't really want to go on antidepressants. She was like, well, you can do a lot of like holistic things. You can go for like Reiki. You can just like do more self-care. And I was like, I'm going to fucking prescribe me a tea and a bubble bath. And then she was like, can I ask what your periods are like? And I was like, well, they are kind of regular. But like, so... TMI, this is a little TMI warning. Skip a couple of minutes if you don't want to hear about my period.
Can I just say, most our listeners, I reckon, are going to be women or period havers. Yeah. So I think we're all good.
I think we're all good.
Don't you worry. They know we're going to be fully honest as well. So
exactly.
Say what you want.
I'm too open, me. I think I'm open to a fault. So yeah, no. And she was like, "So how are your periods?" I was like, "Well, I used to have like 7-day long periods. So like it'd be like 5 days on and like a day either side of spotting." She was like, "Oh, and what about now?" I was like, "Less than 48 hours," and I'm like a tap. She was like, when did this start? And I was like, maybe like a year ago, 2 years ago. And she was like, why haven't you been in touch? Yeah. I was like, well, periods change. She was like, yeah, periods change, Roxanne, but like not go from 7 days to less than 48 hours.
There is a lot of like, when you look online, you're like, is this normal? And it's like, oh, well, it is normal because periods, it all changes. So it is a bit like that where you think, is this normal? Well, it's saying it could be, but it's also saying it really couldn't be.
Because it happened every month. It was like, oh, every month I would be on. So
you've got regular periods, but they're
regular
not right.
Regular periods, yeah, but like it was less than 48 hours. And 1 minute, like the first couple of months it was happening, I felt like I was weeing myself.
I'm so sorry, that's awful.
But
I wouldn't leave the house. I just sat on the toilet.
Like I was literally 1 second I'm off and the next second I'm on. So I was telling her this. She was like, let's get you in for an ultrasound. And then that started panicking me. I was thinking, I only rang up to say I was sad. I was like, what's this all about? So I did my ultrasound and there was like, and the lady, so I did it and the lady was like, can I ask why you've come in? And while she's like just doing it, and at the time I was on my period, so I had like a menstrual cup in. She was like, are you currently on your period? I was like, yeah. She was like, are you wearing a cup by any chance? I was like, yeah. She was
because
like,
you see it
on the TV. She like, I can see it on the screen. I was like, yeah, I use menstrual cups. She was like, oh, that's good. We're very, very like environmentally friendly. I was like, I enjoy it as well. I enjoy using the cup. And then like it was nice. And then she was like, oh, so what are your hormones like? Have you had blood tests? And I was like, no, I've not had any blood tests. And then she was like, oh, you can pull your pants up now because they kind of make it, because obviously it's very quite low.
Yeah.
And she was like, right, so you've got polycystic ovaries. The doctors will be in touch for a blood test. It's in a bit.
So did she not?
Pretty much.
Yeah.
She didn't
have a good bedside manner. This is it. Now see ya.
Yeah, it was just like, yeah, so you've got polycystic ovaries. And I was like, right, okay. She was like, so the doctors will be in touch for a blood test if you've not had a blood test already. And I was like, right, okay. And she was like, yeah. I was like, is that me? She was like, yeah, you can go now. And I was like, okay. Got outside and Max was like, because I was saying to Max, I was like, so whenever I go about something regarding like periods or like some like stuff like that, I always feel like I'm invalidated. I always feel like all the doctors have always been like, oh, it's just cramps, or oh, it's just a little bit of PMS.
It's easy to blame it on that though.
Just cramps, bit of PMS, just have some paracetamol in a hot water bottle and do a bit of self-care. And that's all what I've been told since being a child. So like in the back of my mind, I was like, I'm going to go and they're going to tell me that there's nothing wrong with me. So I was almost expecting that. But then the other side of my brain was like, always expect the worst. Always expect the worst. When I came outside of the hospital and Max was like, so is everything all right? And I was like, I've got polycystic ovaries. And he was like, what does that mean? And I was like, I don't really know.
So then you start like researching everything. Then I started researching
polycystic ovaries, and then all the PCOS stuff were coming up, and I was like, oh my God, does this mean that I've got this like metabolic condition and thing? And I was like worrying about it, and then booked in for a blood test, and my doctor rang, and then she was like, yeah, so I just want to talk to you about your ultrasound. And I told her about what the woman did. She was like kind of like, shouldn't have really done that, should have really sat you down and explained like what it is. So she was explaining to me what it is. She was like, I do have to say though, you can have polycystic ovaries and not have PCOS. And I was like, oh, I didn't know that.
Right.
I thought if you have polycystic ovaries, you have PCOS, which is the condition.
Yeah.
So then I ended up going in for blood tests. I've had 3 blood tests now, and this all happened 2 weeks before Christmas. Mm-hmm. So they're all the way over Christmas. I was like waiting for results. So you have to like check 2 out of the 3 check boxes, and one of them is, obviously, don't take this as gospel, if I remember correctly, one of them is having polycystic ovaries on your ultrasound. The second one is having irregular periods. She was like, even though your periods are a little bit odd, they are still regular. And the third one is your testosterone count. If it's elevated, then you've ticked the 2, so you get kind of diagnosed with a PCOS, and then take it from there.
Are you still waiting for that? Because I know you were waiting for a call this week.
Yeah, so I've had 3 blood tests done. So my first one came back elevated testosterone, elevated prolactin, which is something to do with your pituitary gland.
I don't know how to say it either. I just knew that it was a gland.
But she also checked like my blood levels and stuff like that to make sure I wasn't anemic because of like the blood, because she thought that might be why my periods are so short and so like intense. Yeah. But so she was like, that's all fine, your B12's fine, your zinc's fine, but your prolactin levels are elevated and your testosterone are elevated. She was like, I do want to get you back in for another check. I just want to double check them. She was like, usually your prolactin levels can be elevated one, and if it's normal the next one, then that's not an issue. She was like, it can just be elevated. She was like, so I want to get you in next week to try it like a different time of my cycle. So then I had my 3rd bloods, and she says that she wants to test them on the follicular period, which is from the first day of your period to 15 days after, I think, to check. So then she's got like all of these results from different stages of my period, because so these have all happened in like really quick succession. I've got the results back, and two or 3 days later I'm back in for my second. So I'm waiting for my 3rd set, and this will then kind of tell me where we go from here. She was like, so she's probably going to either ring me this week or next week with the results, and then we'll take it from there. But like obviously, like I've tried to do some research, because I was saying this to you, like I struggle with the unknown. If someone was to turn around and be like, right, you've got this, I'm like, right, I know the facts now. Yeah. I can deal with the facts. But if someone's like, you might have this or you might have that, like, I don't know if to prepare. I don't know how to prepare for that, because I'm like, what am I preparing for?
And I feel like you've been waiting ages as well. Yeah. Like, you've been waiting for such a long time to figure out what's happening. You just need to know now.
I know. I think, like I said, it's not, I've been quite lucky really that I've been able to get my results and get in. Like usually this process takes quite a while, but so I booked my ultrasound in October, and I had my ultrasound appointment on like the 3rd of December or something like that. But from the 3rd of December, from going to the ultrasound, it's now what do we say, the second week of January.
So that's been quite fast.
And I've had 3 blood test done. But so it's kind of, I think that's what I was talking about over Christmas, how it's like I've just been worrying about that in the first week of January, like coming to the new year, and I still don't really know anything, and I don't really know what to expect, or I've been trying to do some research to try and get some knowledge of it, but I'm just like reading horror stories of like things and like infertility, and
that's where Google's not your friend, but you can't help but Google it. You can't.
But like if I do get diagnosed with the PCOS, obviously there's certain things that I can do to reduce the symptoms, but it's something that I will live with for the rest of my life. You can kind of do like diet things and to change, like to not subsidize. What's the word I'm looking for? I don't know. Anyway,
substitute.
To kind of bring down the symptoms. I don't know what the word I'm looking for.
I'm trying to think of all words beginning with S. I don't know.
No, so I think, I don't know, like I'm still a bit wary about it. I know it's not the end of the world, and I feel like I'm invalidating myself whenever I'm like,
you are invalidating yourself.
But I am very anxious about the results, and that's
valid.
And that's one thing that's been worrying me, and I think that's the one main contributing factor to how I've got off to a bit of like a rough start this year. It's just because I've just been a bit like, oh my god, I don't know what I'm gonna do. Like, I don't know what to expect. I don't know what this means really, because like I said, because my results haven't come through, and my doctor hasn't really sat me down and said this means this and this. I've just been kind of using stuff off Google and like forums and stuff, and like going on Reddit, which I know that I shouldn't go on Reddit, but I was going on Reddit.
I love Reddit.
PCOS symptoms and what people are saying. And
yeah.
then obviously then people start saying the buzzwords like infertility and like weight loss and depression and like fatigue, and I'm like, oh my god, I don't know. So that's what I've been. Sorry, I feel like I've proper took over what you were saying.
Oh no, don't worry. We need to hear it. We need to hear all about it. But
yeah, no. So yeah. I'll keep the listeners updated on what's
we
going
will.
on.
We'll keep. But do you know what I was thinking as well when you were saying all that? You need to think about where you're going to be this time next year. So like into 2023. Oh my god, that's so scary. 2023. Sorry, I just can't get over that. 2023.
It's terrifying.
Yeah, it is. But when you're there next year, everything that you're worried about now is not good. Well, not that it's not going to matter, because obviously if you do have PCOS, it will obviously still be quite relevant. But you're going to know next year. You'll have gone through a whole journey with it. You'll know where you are, and you'll be in a different place.
Yeah.
And I think instead of like looking at it, I mean, I'm preaching to the choir here. I don't know if that's the right saying, but I don't take my own advice. But if you look at it in that way and think, right, this year is going to be my journey of like finding out what's happening, and like I'm going to be on a better path.
Yeah.
That's probably better at looking at it as instead of, oh, I'm starting off the year really bad. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I know. I think that's why we've both had this conversation about wanting to take this podcast and make it like an open vessel for ourselves and for us to have a conversation. Because hindsight is a great thing, and I think a lot of podcasts and a lot of like social media pages, like they're very like fixed, and it's very like, oh, this is something that I've kind of dealt with off camera, and obviously like you might agree with it, you might disagree with it, but this is what I've dealt with off camera, and these are like my feelings now, whereas like this is our lives, and like this is what we want. This is why we're going off on a bit of a tangent, but this is why this podcast is kind of like a bit of a mishmash at the minute.
Yeah, I mean, especially at the beginning, we've talked about ourselves a bit more, so we've got a bit more of a foundation. Yeah,
so that's why we are being a lot more open and like topics and stuff, and like today's episode about failing, and we'll go into about us, but like we are the podcast, like we will have guests on and it'll be great, but it's like it's more like if you're listening to it and you're going through something with us, you can kind of grow with us, and like we can all kind of go through things together and like experience things, and like where you kind of like your friends that you can kind of speak to, like if, because I know that I do that, there's some podcasts that I listen to and like I will have a conversation with them. I know that they can't hear me. I'm like, oh yeah, I agree with that, or no, I disagree with that, I would have done this, or do you know what I mean? And I feel like that helps, and especially like because I work at the studio and I'm alone in the studio by myself, it's good to have somebody there with me, and I feel like this is what we want this to be. Exactly. We want you to kind of come along with us for our journey that is our life. Like we'll update you as and when. I think that's something. That's why we're talking about ourselves a lot.
Yeah, and I think as well, like especially with mental health and like the highs and lows of owning your own business.
Yeah.
I think it's really important to share the negatives as well, because I do feel like maybe not so much with podcasts, but definitely this social media side of things, it can become quite a toxic positive space, and everything's so polished and perfect, and like especially with like businesses, people who own their own businesses and people who are like, you know, the designers or, you know, whatever they're doing, it does sometimes only ever really look like they're succeeding. Like you see all the, you know, the parcels that they've sent to the post office, but you don't see that they were crying that morning because they didn't feel like they were doing enough.
And that's all, and obviously like it all depends on what your boundaries are for your business and stuff. Yeah. And like they might then in like a few months' time be like, oh, back on this day I was dealing with this, and that's completely fine, whatever your boundaries are, but like our boundaries are pretty open. Pretty open, and I like I've always been like an oversharer and like open and honest and stuff, and you're the same, like,
and that's why we should do this here. Like I don't want to censor myself, do you know what I mean? And if you are going to share only the good, that's totally fine. Like I've got nothing against that, but for me personally, I try and follow accounts where I see the highs and lows so that it feels more relatable, because I don't want to go on social media or listen to a podcast and think, why have they got it together but I haven't?
Yeah,
do you know
and
what
I think
mean?
those super positive podcasts and accounts and social media accounts and stuff are valid in the space, and they are needed.
Of course.
Like, I have high follow accounts that are like super like positive, because like sometimes I'm like, right, no, I need to go on their page, I need to have a look, I need to watch the reels, even though they are super positive, because sometimes I do need that. But obviously then on a bad day, which is obviously it's a me problem, and I know it's a me problem, but then on a bad day I'm like, why are you so happy all of the time? What's got, like, I don't, it's like unattainable happiness, and I'm like, I feel then I'm failing because I'm not completely happy.
Going into the failing thing. Also at work, so I work, obviously, if you've listened to the other podcast episodes, I work in a pub part-time as well. And last year we were doing some sort of like training, you know, sort of meeting thing, and everyone had a drink after. So I was having some drinks with some of the guys, and everyone was saying like, oh, one of the managers said, I wake up in the morning and I think, oh, I want a positive attitude like Laura. Like, how he's like, I start my day and think, because I'm so positive, because I'm an extrovert and I thrive around people, I'm really positive, and like to the extent where sometimes it's a bit crazy how positive I am. But then I was like, it made me feel really sad, because I was like, I don't feel like that. Like, I feel good like when I'm around people, but like I felt like a fraud, because I was like, everyone was like, oh yeah, you're so positive and lovely, and I was just thinking, oh my god, like I don't have this like thirst for life, if that's thirst for life. I don't have this that they think I've got, because I'm like sad as well. But like, I don't want to bring people down and say, oh, by the way, like I'm depressed and like I cried all day yesterday. Like, I'm not going to say that, but do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I feel like this is a
the
space
balance between like being honest and then being
fake. And no, that's not the word.
Not fake, but like being honest about your mental health. But like, so for example, if I'm having a bad week, I will post on my story. I'll be like, guys, I'm having a bad week this week. Like, my mental health's not great. And then kind of leave it at that. But I won't every day be like, I'm feeling really bad today, or I'm feeling this. Because, like, I don't want to bring other people down.
Yeah.
I want people to know that bad days happen without
bringing everyone
down.
into me.
Yeah.
Into it
and
with
like
me.
offloading onto people, because then they might take that. I don't know. This is it. Like, I'm really torn about stuff like this. I'm like, I do agree that like we should show all sides of things, like if you're sad and stuff, but then I feel like if you are mentally not well, like when I'm having like the weeks where I'm not mentally well, I don't want to put that burden on somebody else.
Yeah, and it's a weird thing.
And it's a weird like balance between the two, which I'm hoping that this podcast will be a nice balance, guys. So like next week, if like something really good happens, like I'll be able to share that with you and stuff. But you did ask if I've had a good week.
Do you know what's so funny? How long are we recording for now? I was like, let's talk about our weeks, and then we've just like really delved. I feel like that was like a whole podcast episode in itself. I have had some positive things happen, even though I had a very bad depressive episode last week. I just did my first ever window display.
Yes, I'm so
my friend's beauty lounge. We just go into the episode now. That was the longest intro I'll probably ever have.
God, sorry about that, guys.
But you know what? There's an update. You've got it. Now let's move on.
So this podcast is about quitting. Well, no, fail. Why it's okay to fail.
And it is okay to fail.
It is.
Just so you know, right? This is all we need to say. It's okay to fail. If you're listening to this and you think, oh, I'm failing at this, it's okay. Right, end of podcast.
End of podcast. Finn. Son of it, guys.
Right, so do you want to start? Because really, we thought about this episode. We thought it'd be a great episode to have because you're quitting your shop.
Yeah, so...
but you haven't failed at it,
well,
just so you know.
I don't know about that. So... obviously, I'm quitting my shop. I think by the time this podcast gone out, it's already shut. Because it weren't fulfilling anything in my life. It was stressing me out. I weren't really getting much money off it. Like, it weren't like having like a monetary thing. And I don't know, I feel like it was taking up a lot of my time and energy, and I weren't really getting anything from it. So I did fail in that aspect because that side of the business didn't work, if that makes sense. Because if it would have worked, I would have kept on with it.
Yeah, but sometimes things work for you at different times in your life. And
Yeah.
at the moment, it's not good for you at this time
It's
in your
not
life.
for me. I feel like the mistakes I did make were trying to keep up with other brands that are more successful than me in product turnover. I feel like I was trying to make a new product every month, or new products every month, because that's what everybody else was doing. But then because my products weren't selling, I had like a backlog of stock, and I had like I have a lot of money tied up in this stock that isn't there. I do feel like I niched down too much. I feel like, because obviously my profile was pink and red and everything was pink and red, I feel like all my products were pink and red as well. So I do feel like I niched down in that aspect where, like, for example, if you were going to get a print off me, you would probably get more than 2 prints, because unless you wanted a pink and red wall.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
And
yeah,
like,
yeah.
and everything was pink and red, and like people like variety, do you know what I mean? And so I feel like that's where I went wrong. That's where I failed in that aspect as well. I think I niched down too much, and I think I didn't put enough effort into markets. I didn't do any markets. I've only done a few markets, just because of, I didn't know. Obviously, I don't drive, and I didn't really know how I'd get there, and I didn't really know how to get the markets. But yeah, no. So honestly, already I'm feeling so much better about it, and I know that, like, it's not a failure as in like a failure, like a massive failure, but I feel like I have failed on that side of the business. Like, it wasn't where I wanted it to be, and because it had so much potential, and I know it had so much potential because I am tooting my own flute. I am good at what I do.
Just so you know, if you listen to this for the first time and you haven't looked at our Instagrams, Foxanne.
Foxanne.
She's fantastic. She's absolutely amazing. And that is not me being sarcastic. I'm just very enthusiastic.
Enthusiastic.
She's great.
She's my number one cheerleader, Laura. You will find that out.
But you are really good.
Thank
I
you.
think you really need to remember that your business hasn't failed.
Yeah.
And you haven't failed at the shop. You've decided to shut it on your own accord. It's not like you've gone bankrupt, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think as well, I was having this conversation with Max's mum. So Max's mum has a shop. She has a baby shop where she sells prams and like clothes and mattresses and stuff like that. And I was telling her, and she was like, well, you're connected to it though. Like, everything you're selling, you've made, and it's a part of you. So so every time a product doesn't sell, you see that as a reflection of your ability.
Your self-worth.
She was like, but if someone doesn't sell for me, that's a product that I've tried and it's not worked. I'll move on to a next product.
I've never thought about that, you know.
She was like, that's why it's getting you down so much, is because you're taking it as a personal hit.
And also when something does sell, and this is why you should always support small businesses, especially creatives, when something does sell, it's literally like, oh my God, someone has just bought my art. What the hell?
I've made that, and someone wants that in their home. Like, that's like, it's amazing. Like, I love it. I love that side of it. But I think as well, it was like, it's something that I will potentially look into in the future of doing it again. But I know, because I have failed, and I have made notes of how I failed, and I can reflect on that. Next time I do it, I will do it better.
Exactly. There's a quote, and I sent it to you on Instagram, but I'm going to say it again like I've never said it to you before.
Do you want me to respond as if I've never heard? Let's play this out.
Yeah.
Let's play it out.
I think it was like a TikTok sound or like an Instagram sound, and it's not the exact words, but it was, if you want to succeed, you've got to fail us twice as much. So I think it was a guy saying, I realised...
That's such a good quote.
I realised how...
before.
Yeah. Wow, I feel like I've really affected your life.
You have. Solved.
Yeah, so the guy was just like, I realised that if I really wanted to succeed, I'd have to fail twice as much. Yeah. And that is so true. Like, the only way that you can ever get better is if you fail, because then you learn what not to do next time.
Yeah.
And like, who's saying that in 2 years' time, for example, when you've like really established your new look, I mean, you are going to establish that a lot sooner than 2 years, but like, who's saying that you can't go, right, I've got loads of amazing prints here, I'm going to set up a new shop and I know exactly what to do now. I know how much, because I remember you saying a couple weeks ago that you'd bought like 400 prints for your first print run. So now you know that you're only going to get this amount. You're going to maybe try some markets out, and you're going to like slowly build up your products, and you don't compare to other people. Because I feel like, going on a tangent, comparing yourself to others makes you feel like you're failing.
Yeah.
Even if you're not.
100%. Well, yeah, like, it's like there's certain people who I did compare myself to who are absolutely
Smashing it.
And like, that's amazing for them. But I saw that as a reflection of my own.
But do you know what?
My own failure. And I was like, how does that make sense? We're not linked. There's no correlation. Like, the maths ain't adding up. But yet I was still like, oh, because they're succeeding. Like,
but are they really succeeding?
But this is it, are they?
Because there'd be people, I know there's people that probably look at me and go, oh, she's doing amazing. Well, I'm thinking, if anyone's thinking that, by the way, you should look at my bank balance and then you change your mind.
But that's it. It doesn't have to be monetary, but I mean, it all depends on what
yeah, exactly. What
failure,
what you consider successful.
Yeah, what you consider successful and what you consider failure. But yeah, no, I think next time I do it, if I do it, well, you never know. Like, I think as long as you've tried your hardest, if you fail, you fail. Like, you've done your best.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And I think as well, if you fail, because I can't, let me get it up on my phone. I've saved something.
Really quickly, just while you're looking for that, when you said just try your best, my mum and dad growing up, when I was doing the SATs, when I was doing the 11 plus, when I was doing my GCSEs, they'd always say to me, Laura, as long as you try your best, that's all. We'd be happy. That's all you can ask for. And there'd be other parents that'd say to the kids, you must get this, make them have tutors and everything. And like, but my mum and dad would always say to me, try your hardest. And I've took that into life.
Well, that kind of follows on onto this. So it's something that I screenshotted. It was someone said on Tumblr. Do you remember Tumblr? Do people still use Tumblr?
I loved it. Probably.
People still use Tumblr.
Yeah.
It was, I hate seeing posters, especially around schools, that say failure is not an option. Fuck that. Failure is always an option. It's okay to fail. You win. You will fail in life at some point. You need to prepare yourself for failure, or else once you do fail, it will destroy you and you won't know how to pick yourself back up. Failure is a part of life. Failure is always an option. Failure is always an option. I think that's it. And I think if you're super hard on yourself, like, right, I cannot fail this, because obviously we all do it. Like, I don't want to sit here and like lie to you and be like, oh, I've never done that before. I have done that before. Like, I've sat there and I've gone, I cannot fail this. Like, there's no other option. Like, it's either this or nothing. But then when I have failed, it's taken me a lot longer to pick myself back up, because I've kind of gone from this super high expectation to them crumbling down as well. And I think as long as you are trying your best, and as long as you are like having this like positive mental attitude into it,
mental attitude.
Yeah, I think that's it. And I think that's the key to life.
Yeah.
Really, just try and take everything as it comes and take everything with like a pinch of salt. And
see, I struggle to do that. I catastrophize. I think that's part of ADHD. You're more likely to catastrophize. Obviously, don't take my word as gospel. You are more likely to catastrophize. And like when something bad happens, so quick story time. And I'm not very good at quick stories, but bear with me.
But okay, I am.
A couple months ago, I had the opportunity. So I got like a little request form through for work, and somebody who owns she works for a company that is all about celebrating small businesses. I'm not going to go into it too much, so I don't want anyone to know who this is, because I don't want to slander anyone. But they wanted me to do 5 window displays in pretty quick turnaround in like the next week. So I was like, that's crazy. And it was all around the UK. If you remember, it was like, there was like one down south, one there, one here. So I'd have to travel everywhere, and it was like quite stressful. But I was like, I really want to do window displays. So I was like, oh, I'm going to do it. Anyway, turns out they told me the budget at the beginning. I sent them the estimate. So I was like, right, based on this,
the time off work as well.
I booked time off work at the pub. I put everything on hold. I was like, I need to do this. This is going to be amazing. I was so excited. I was telling everyone about it. And then, so they told me the budget. I said, amazing. Here's the estimates. And they were like, okay, all looks good. So I was like, right, the estimates are good. And I made sure that I priced everything so it was in between their budget. Yeah. It was still quite low, but it was fine. Anyway, they were like, oh, amazing, but just before we sign anything off, have you got any like quick concepts? So I was like, oh, I took one of the shops and I did like 3 concepts, took me quite a few hours, sent it through to them. And then they rang me and they were like, we don't actually have that budget. We can only charge it. We can only like give you £250 per window. And I was like, that's not a lot for how big the windows were.
Yeah, they were massive windows.
There were some that were huge. And I said, there's no way I can do that. And she's like, what can you do about the designs? And I was like, if I do, I was like, it's just going to get lost in the window. So I was like, no. And they were like, oh, it's piling up, or all the costs are piling up now for the different shops. And I was thinking, did you go, when you got your display stuff from IKEA, did you go into IKEA and say, oh, the costs are racking up, can I make it cheaper? So why with me? Anyway, obviously that was
was on the cheap end as well because you're newly pricing it.
Yeah, and I talked to a girl who's done the window displays before, so I knew that I was pricing right. Anyway, so I was like, I'm devastated. And then she went, oh, we're going to go in a different direction. And I was like, oh my God, you just made me do the sketches knowing you didn't have the budget. And I was devastated. And I know that it wasn't my fault. I know now that I need to make sure I get a 50% deposit before I do any sketches. Yeah. I was just too excited about it.
Yeah.
And then I was thinking, oh my God, I'm failing. And that's when I went into like a really deep, like, I take it personal. And I was crying all day. I was like, what am I going to do? And then that's the day that I rang the doctors and I was like, I need to go on antidepressants.
Yeah, but like you've learned from that now. And like obviously now you know not to do any work until you've got 50% deposit. And now I think that's put that business in a different light to me as well, because
they were all about championing small businesses though, and that's why I want to tell everyone who it is, but I'm not that kind of person.
Well, that's it. Like people do have budgets for things, and that is something that we deal with. But if you do have a budget, and like they said, they told you the budget, and you worked. I remember you telling me that you worked way underneath that budget. You was underneath that budget anyway, weren't you?
Yeah.
So it's like, well, but I don't know.
I know.
But yeah, you really took that personally.
I took it personally, and I was thinking, I failed. I'm a failing illustrator. Why can other people? And then obviously they'd gone for somebody else, and I was like really comparing it to me. And I was thinking, have I done something wrong? And then I was thinking, I've failed as an illustrator in general because I've put myself out there. And I told her, I said, I've not, because of circumstances beyond my control, I'm not going to be able to pay my rent now because I have not worked at the pub for 2 weeks because I've scheduled off work for that week to go everywhere and do all these windows. And I scheduled off the week before so that I could prepare.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, and I was devastated, but...
Well, you have sent them an invoice for your time for the initial sketches, and
I chased it a month, like a couple of weeks after, and she's like, oh, I've sent it to the accounts team. And I was thinking, but you're a small business, I don't think you've got an accounts team. And then I chased them a month after, and I said, just so you know, on Saturday it's going to be 30 days, so there is going to be a markup, and I'm going to be sending another invoice with charges. Never got back to me, and I've not sent an invoice yet, but I'm going to wait a little bit longer so that I can give them a...
Because you've done work for them.
Yeah.
Just because they decided to...
I did a couple of days work, like they sent me all the information.
Because I remember you telling me there was implying to you that it needed to happen quick.
Yeah.
There was like, it's going to take a while for, which I know that you blame yourself for, and I will blame myself for, but there was like, it's going to take a while for it to all get like processed and stuff, but we need this done quick, so can we get the work kind of done?
Yeah, and that's why I was like, I've got to do the sketches now.
Like you said, like they champion small businesses, so you was like, they're not going to mess me about.
I know, and then they put on their Instagram the next day, like after they'd fobbed me off, saying, oh, we from the illustrators that design our windows, we champion small business. And I thought, you've thrown me under the bus. And I was so upset. I was thinking, why can I not stand up for myself? Because I am a bit of a doormat sometimes. I think I am a bit too nice. Like I had a call the other day, and I was talking to the girl about royalties. And I was like, oh, the average is 8%. But if you want to do, it's up to you. If you want to do 2%, you can. And I thought, why the fuck have I just said that? And luckily she was lovely. She went, I don't want to do 2%. 8's fine. And I was like, I'm just being I'm a people pleaser. It's really bad. That's what I need to work on. But like that, it's areas like that where I feel like I'm failing. Not like I'm necessarily failing at the work, because I didn't fail at the work because I didn't do it. but I feel like I'm failing to do the right things.
Yeah.
But that's okay, because now I know not to do that.
No, not to do that. And like I said before, it's like it's all dependent on how you deal with it and how you move on from failing. Like there was another quote that I wanted to share as well.
Share away. You've got quite a few, haven't you?
I have.
I've got the washing machine on. Why the fuck have I done that? Let me pause it.
Okay.
Sorry. I just thought, what? Why have I done that? Right, washing machine's off. Bloody hell. You can basically, these microphones are so good that they pick up everything. And the other day,
everything.
yeah, the last episode, my boyfriend was in the kitchen, which is like 2 rooms away, and we could hear him with the knife and fork. So I had to go and tell him, I said, don't go in the kitchen, you got to be dead quiet. I felt dead bad. Silencing him in his own home.
Yeah, so there was something that I saw online and it was, and I read it, I can't remember what it was, I think it was like a blog post, and I kind of took bits from it and kind of processed it in my mind and then like said something. So I put, it's okay to disappoint yourself or others, but you have to use it as growth. Show that you're learning. If you make the same avoidable mistakes, you're not learning. You're using it's okay to fail as an excuse. Because I think that's it. It's like, because when I was Googling, doing some research on this podcast episode, I was like, oh, I wonder what other people think. And I was like, it's okay to fail. I just Googled that. And then there was loads of things being like, I hate when people say it's okay to fail. It's not okay to fail. It's like, it's really bad if you fail. And it's like, it's an excuse for not succeeding and taking like fucking hashtag girl boss and just
Fuck
like,
you. Not you. Sorry. Fuck them.
No, so it was just like, oh, I felt like there was two sides to it. It was like the side that was like, it's okay to fail, like as long as you take it as like a learning curve and you learn from it and you get up and you use the experiences that you've done from that failure to like something else. And then there was the other side of the internet that was like, okay to fail isn't great. Like this is not something that you need to go by. You need to succeed. We need to succeed. We all need to.
That's so like, toxic.
Yeah, I get that, but like, no. No. Like,
yeah, because it's so toxic. Because then what happens when you do fail and you've got that mentality? You're going to be crushed.
You could crash. It was like we spoke about before, yeah. It's like you're just going to crash and.
Well, that was like me in December when that whole thing happened with the window displays. I was saying to you, wasn't I, like, my fear of failure is what pushes me. Like, the pressure of, like, not failing pushes me. And I think that's the only reason why I ended up graduating uni. Because of the fear of failure, the fear of dropping out. But maybe I probably should have. It would have been better for me. So, just had a quick break then to get our little hash browns, didn't we?
Yes.
They're a bit hot at the minute, by the way, so be careful.
Mayonnaise.
By the way, we've got mayonnaise, but it's the wrong one. Really, it should be Hellman's Real, but this is Heinz Seriously Good. I mean, it's still mayonnaise, so... Yeah, it's still mayonnaise, but it's not Hellman's. I'm a very strict Hellman's Real only girl, but George got this. So, what were we saying? Yeah, so I was saying about how my fear of failure is probably the only reason why I managed to graduate uni.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's sort of like what pushes me forward, which I think is a bit toxic. My fear of failure. I'm thinking, oh God, I can't fail at this. I need to make sure I'm doing more. I need to make sure I'm doing good. Should we get the next quote?
Yes, so I'll just read through what I've got here, little notes that I've written, whatever. Only okay to fail if you get back up again. 100%. We agree. Do we agree?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Use it as a learning curve and move forward. It's all about intention with failing. Well, that's it. Like, I think we've already touched on this really, but it's the intention of what you do when you're failing. Like, if you obviously intend to succeed, but also have in the back of your mind that if you fail, what's plan B? I think that's good to have.
Yeah.
Or like acknowledging.
In terms of career as well, like when it comes to like personal things, I think that can get a bit blurry. So like, for example, failing in a relationship because you made a mistake that was easily... Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But we're not talking about that, are we? We're talking about biz.
All the biz.
So for me, another thing I wanted to mention, I feel like maybe it's more to do with our age in terms of personal. Yeah, so I feel like, so you're 26, right?
Yeah.
I'm 27, but I feel like when this podcast goes out, I might be 28. 7th of Feb, by the way, if anyone's wondering, it's on a Monday. So this will come out just after. Yeah, I feel like every time I go on Facebook or Instagram, somebody's bought a house, somebody else is having twins, somebody else is having their third child, somebody else has just done a major life thing. You know, somebody else has just got married. Another person's getting engaged. Oh, and another person's getting engaged. And I'm just sat here like, am I failing? Yeah. And I know that we're talking about why is it okay to fail in terms of like a business sense, but for me that's like a major thing for me, and I always compare. Like comparison is the thief of joy. Comparison is the thief of joy, as we know. Yes. But it's so hard not to, and because I feel like also as we're brought up, we're always taught to compare. Do you know what I mean? Like when we're in school, she got an A, I got a B. Like you're doing this lesson, and I'm doing this lesson. Yeah. Like
it's
always
ingrained in us.
Yeah, you're going to this uni, you went through clearance, I'm going to this uni. And like I feel like it's carried on, especially like looking at people where you're from. It's like
I think it's mindset as well. I think it's us, and like it's realizing that somebody else's success isn't a reflection of our own.
Yeah.
But like like in personal life and stuff, and it's like it is easy, and I think we all do it, and I think, like I said, I don't want to sit here and lie and be like no I don't do that. Like I'm really good, and like I stay in my own lane. I know that I don't stay in my own lane because like I'll get bitter about things. I'm like, they've only been together a year and I've been with Max 8 years, and they're like married with like 2 kids. I mean, obviously that's not possible, but
do you know what?
Me being like dramatic as per usual.
Yeah.
But that's and then it's like, oh, like they've got a house, and like I haven't got a house, and I'm like, I take that as like being like, oh well, they've got like a family unit, and they've got like a house and like 3 kids and a dog, and they're both like, they're all living like this perfect family life. And I feel like I'm late to the game because like when I was 16, I imagined myself in 10 years to have like a kid and a house. 26 was dead old when you're 16, and now as I'm getting older, I'm like, oh my god, 26 is so young. And I'm like, even 36 is young.
Yeah.
Like when I think about my mum, like my mum is 43. I'm like, that's still young.
It is, but like when we were younger, I thought OAP, 30-year-old OAP. And now I'm like, oh my god, there's loads of memes going around at the moment, and I'm sure you've seen them, of the over 25s category in the X Factor. Yeah. And I saw them.
Old.
Yeah. And like Cheryl Cole will be like, oh, if I want the overs, it's pretty much over for me. I'll never win with the overs. And it's like, what? I would be an over, and I would be way over.
It is weird, and I don't know about different like times that people have lived in or whatever, but I feel like 26s are younger than what they used to be.
I agree, and I think that's because we have more opportunities as we're young. Like
I think we have more opportunities, and I think because we're not, a lot of us are settling down young.
Well, some of us are, some of us
not
aren't.
necessarily my mum's generation, but maybe the generation before that was like, go to school, have a job, settle down, have kids. Do you know what I mean? Have that family unit. Whereas like millennials don't want to get married. Millennials don't want kids. So like in like...
Yeah, and I do think as well, I was going to say before, you know, when you were like, oh, they've only been together for a year. I thought that today when I saw Megan Fox is getting married. That little proposal to the shop boy. Yeah. Where was it from?
Foot Locker.
To the shop boy, like he's not dead famous. But I was like, what? But then like I'm not ready to get engaged. So it's like, and like I see people who are having kids and like they're getting a house, and
we're trying to go by what society deems as normal. But it's like my normal will be different to your normal.
I feel like I compare and I get really bitter, and I'm like, why not me? Before I get excited for them, but I don't even want that. Like, I don't want to get married right now, but why am I upset that it's not me? Because I don't want it to be me. I don't want a kid right now at all. At all.
I know.
But I'm upset it's not me.
I know. And it's like, and I think it's because like we're seeing people do things that we want in the future, but they're doing it now. It's like, oh, am I too late? Like, yeah. Because like when I think about it, so like when my mum was my age, I think she had 3 kids.
Wow. Yeah. My mum had 1, I think.
Maybe. No, I think she had 2 kids and she was pregnant with the 3rd. But like, because my mum had me dead young. I think she was like 17, 18. So I have that to compare myself to like my mum's way of like,
too, yeah.
my mum's like a very young mum, and I'm seeing that, and like when I see, but then Max is like from the complete opposite side. Well, not really the complete opposite. That's like giving everybody a disservice. And Max, I always seem to do it. So Max's older sister's the same age as my mum, and I keep on saying things, and she's like, "You do realise that you call me old constantly?" I'm like, I don't mean that you're old, because I said something. I was like, yeah, like I imagine like being old and being like in like my 40s, and I was like, I didn't mean 40s. I didn't mean 40s.
But that's again like you're thinking it's really old. Like when you were 20, you're thinking 26 is old.
Well, because that's it. Like, and I think, oh, I'm 26 and my mum's 43. That must be old though, because she's my mum, but it's not in the grand scheme of things. And like, Max's mum's 65 and she's dead young. She's a dead young 65-year-old woman.
Yeah.
And so that's why my view is completely skewed, because like my granddad passed away when I think he was in like his mid-50s.
So you then feel like that's old. Yeah. Do you know what it is as well? I think because we look up, we see wisdom. Like when we were younger, our parents are always right because they're the older ones, like they're the ones we go to if we have a problem. But really, back then, they probably didn't know what the fuck they were doing.
No.
Just like we wouldn't be. Yeah, like if I had a baby now, I would not know what I was doing. And my mum probably didn't either. She'd probably tell me that now. Obviously, she wouldn't have back then, because then I would have done what, it wouldn't have been the good thing to say.
I think you have like this skewed vision of age when you've got young parents. I find it like younger parents, I should say. Because, like, when I think about when my mum had I think my mum was done having kids at 36 and she had 4 kids. And that's how old one of Max's sisters is. And I was like, I couldn't imagine Max's sister with 4 kids. Because she's dead young. She's like a young 36-year-old woman. I don't know. Obviously, this has gone off on a proper tangent.
But it's still like...
I really think that my way of seeing age is so skewed that like when I do see people like having their second kid or getting married and stuff like that, like, because I remember I was saying to you, I remember seeing something on Facebook where one of the girls who I used to go to school with was pregnant, and I was like, oh, she's pregnant, like I wonder what a mum thinks. I'm thinking, oh no, she's tried. Like, oh no, this was planned. But I'm like, oh no, yeah, no, I'm 26. People actually want this to happen.
No, but I've said before to you as well, I cannot get over the fact that if I got pregnant now, people would be happy for me. Instead of being like, what the fuck are you going to do? Like, are you going to tell your mum?
I think this is just, I think what we've all realised together is that me and Laura are in complete denial of our age. This is what we've learned.
And responsibility. That's the main thing. It's responsibility.
Oh my God. I find it really funny, I think...
Are you crying?
Because it made me laugh and the tear was going down my eye. Oh, I don't know what to do. I feel like this podcast episode has just been it's why this podcast episode is a failure.
But that's okay, because we're about to film another one and we know what to do now. Let's not go off on some tangents.
Oh God.
Yeah, I feel like we talked about failure for about 5 minutes there.
I hope you've kind of got something out of this podcast.
No, but to be fair, our whole thing was it's okay to fail, and we've basically just talked about how we feel a failure at life and shit.
Yeah.
And like all that,
I know. But by whose standard though? Whose standard?
We have the ability to set our own standard. Wow, I'm so wise.
Oh my God, quote that.
You've got to put that on a reel.
# just girly thing.
Gorgeous girls are not afraid of failure.
Gorgeous girls.
So let me just have a look at my notes just in case I've forgotten anything. Oh, I'd noted things that I failed at and why it's okay. But I do feel like maybe that's a bit negative. Do we feel like that's negative, or do we feel like that's...
No, if you want to say that, you say that.
I did Fiverr and I failed at it.
Yeah.
So I moved on. And I didn't do it again.
Did not do it again.
I had bad customers. Especially on Fiverr.
Mm.
Now I know the red flags.
Red flags.
And now I'm never going to have them again.
It's like I'm on Jack and Ori.
I learned that now communication is really key at the beginning of projects.
Yeah.
Not going to fail that next time.
Yeah.
My fear of failure is very bad. I feel like I'm reading a novel.
I feel like I'm
poetry reading.
Slam poetry, and I should be clicking.
Yeah. Oh, sorry, that was my... Oh, Laura's just got a sale. Yeah, the pressure not to fail spares me on blah, 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 life in general, blah, 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 blah. I've just wrote here, which I think is a really good note to end on. It's really important to fail, because if you never failed, you would never learn.
Yeah.
Nobody's perfect. No one just goes through life not failing. Because how are they perfect? You've got to fail to get there. Do you know what I mean?
You do.
And it helps us to grow and do better. So, I've just read my notes. Feel like that could have been the whole podcast, but... So I reckon...
What are we doing?
No, we're going to go on to a Reddit post. So the Reddit post that you've picked out, is it to do with...
Gone loopy.
I've gone a bit loopy. So,
okay, yeah.
Is it to do with failure by any chance?
No.
I'm sure we can spin it to be about failure.
We could spin it to be failure. I think we're just absolutely clutching at... Was it
clutching at straws?
Straws. I was going to clutching at crumbs, but that's not... So, will I be the arsehole if I copied a small business's t-shirt design?
Fuck you. Yes, you would. End of discussion. Don't even need to hear it. Move on. So thanks so much for listening to this episode. No, sorry, carry on. It might be a grey area instead of black and white.
Like the last one was. The last one was a grey area.
Yeah, it was.
Hello. This
Hi.
is my first time on this sub, so I'm sorry if there are any mistakes, but please let me know and I'll correct them. So, I do some art things like paint. I do some art things. I find that really funny. I do some art things like painting, origami, embroidery as a hobby. A few days ago, I was looking for some inspo for embroidery, and I came across a t-shirt design that I absolutely loved, so I decided to do it on one of my t-shirts. I then DM'd the owner of that account asking if it was okay if I copied that design. Then in brackets, I usually ask whenever I try to recreate someone's work and they haven't had a problem with it before. And I also made it super clear that it was just a hobby and I'm not another business trying to steal their designs. Later realised that it was a business account. No, I later realised that it was a business account when I first saw it and I thought it was like another art/embroidery page. Assuming they wouldn't have a problem with it, I already started my work and now they replied saying they've worked hard on their designs and would appreciate it if I didn't copy them. I know I shouldn't have started it without confirming first, but I was really excited about it and thought it wouldn't be any harm to anyone as I'm doing it on one t-shirt which belongs to me that I'm not selling to anyone. I had thought of posting it when I'm done on my Instagram story giving them credit for the design by tagging them. So will I be the arsehole if I continued this work? And what if I just kept it to myself, not to post it anywhere?
So what did the artist come back and say? Do we know this?
Yeah, so it says...
Or did I just miss that? Did that just go right over my head?
Yeah.
Sorry. Oh, they said no, didn't they? Because they worked hard on the design.
Yeah, so they said, assuming they wouldn't have a problem with it, I already started my work. And now they've just replied saying they've worked really hard on their designs and would appreciate it if I didn't copy them.
First thoughts, can I just say?
Yeah.
Why are you writing in Am I the Arsehole thread asking if you should do it or not when the artist has said no? So why are you asking the artist if you're going to go ahead and do it anyway? You are an arsehole. You're a massive arsehole. Don't do it. And if you really like the t-shirt design, buy it from the small business instead of doing it yourself. I'm not a fan of that. I think that's so rude. I think you've got your answer. So why are you writing? Look at that. It's a massive essay. It's a joke. Fuming.
Okay. I disagree with you.
Oh my God, I love that you disagree with me. Let's have a debate.
So, I honestly think if you're not selling it to anybody and if you're doing it as something that you want to do for yourself, it's like I don't have an issue with someone tracing my art if they want to learn how to do art. Because they're doing it for themselves and that's essentially what they're doing. It's essentially the same. It's the practicing the embroidery. Because we know generating ideas for a design is 50% of the work, let's say.
Yeah.
Getting the idea and putting it into fruition is one of the hardest parts. It is for me. So if I wanted to learn how to do something, or if I wanted to expand on my knowledge, I don't want to have to create a design myself. I want to practice the skill. So I'm taking something that somebody else's and I'm doing it for personal use. I'm going to do it on one t-shirt for me. I'm practicing. I don't have an issue with that as long as they don't post it anywhere, claiming it as their own.
Well, that's fine. So if that was me and I was practicing and I messaged you and you said, yeah, of course, that's fine, but this artist has said no and they've still done it. And they're like, am I not? Yeah, you are.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean?
That's it. Like, I think I'm speaking on behalf of
your boundaries.
My boundaries, yeah. And I think it's a tough one. Like, with things like, I don't know, I understand where you're coming from, like with things like t-shirts and stuff like that. If she were to then wear that t-shirt out,
well, she's not just gonna frame it in a house.
Wear that t-shirt out, and if someone compliments her on it, she's not gonna go, oh, I made it, but it was actually this count's design. She's probably like, oh, I made it. So I get that, and that's why, like, I don't think this is as...
It is a bit of a grey area, but also it's black and white for me.
I understand the grey area, but it's not.
Yeah, it's black and white to me. You're an arsehole. Get out my face. If they're just going to do it anyway, why ask?
Yeah.
That's my problem.
Yeah, well, that's it. Like, I think I think you have hit the nail on the head there. Like, if some, like... Because they have asked and they have said no, which I think you should ask, respect that. But for me, if someone says, I really, really want to practice designs, I really want to practice this, can I trace your artwork or can I copy your design? I'd be like, that's fine if you're doing it to learn, but don't post it anywhere.
Can I tell you, I've got a story time and it involves two people.
Okay.
So I need to be careful what I say here because I don't want to expose anybody. Love them, whatever. Everyone's great. I love you all. So basically, someone had bought one of my prints, put them on their gallery wall, took a picture of their gallery wall and tagged me in it. And I didn't realise, I just shared it. And then another artist messaged me and said, those two prints underneath yours, they're exactly the same as mine, but just in different colours. And I looked and they were exactly the same, but just in different colours. And she wasn't even selling them. She was doing it as part of like a giveaway, like a separate giveaway to what she normally sells. And she was like, she's copied it, put it on her wall without asking, and then shared it. So I was like, oh God, she was like, can you just message her and just check like where she's got them from, just in case like another designer's copying me or whatever. So I messaged this girl and like, I know this girl like as an acquaintance, like I've met her a couple of times. Nothing against her, but obviously she just didn't realise that it was a thing, and a lot of people don't realise about copyright with artwork and like what the right thing to do is. I think the lines are a bit blurred. She didn't realise. But I messaged her and she was like, oh, like I must have seen you share her work, and then like when I came to do my drawing like for my wall, like that I wanted to do, like drawing for my own wall, it must have just stayed in my head, and I was thinking it is exactly the same. So I told this artist and I was like, this is what they've said, like I hope that's okay, like I have messaged, I just wanted to check. And then the artist then said, I'm going to message her personally and just like let her know that like really you should ask and it's not okay, and you need to credit whatever. So I've kind of like, obviously I don't know whether it's the right thing to share that story because it's not really my story.
Well, you've not given any names or anything. But
and I've been in that kind of situation, but it hasn't been me. And I have had a girl actually message me like last year and say, oh, look at this that I've drawn, like I'm practicing. And it was exactly the same as my work, but she didn't post it or anything. She just sent it to me and I thought that was quite cute.
Well, that's it, and I think that's it, and I think it's all depending on what it's used for. The only reason why my mind goes to that is because when we were at college, we're told to transcribe things. We're told to work in a style of an artist that we like, to learn. So I see it as that.
But we would never copy. We would do a different scene in that style.
Yeah.
But then copying Picasso isn't really... It's not like an infringement on copyright, is it right? I don't know.
I think it's 70 years you get to copyright.
Is it?
Something.
Don't know how long Picasso's
I don't know how it works.
Around.
If I'm being honest, we're gonna have to get someone on the podcast that is very knowledgeable on copyright. But I don't know. Like, I'm super mixed on this. I feel like if someone was to ask me, being like, right, I've seen one of your designs. For example, I've seen one of your designs, I really like it, I really want to practice my embroidery, can I embroider it onto one of my t-shirts? I think I would be like, yes, that's fine.
Yeah, I would too, yeah.
You cannot sell it.
Yeah.
If you're doing it for practice, that's okay.
Yeah.
But don't post it anywhere. Or if you do post it, give proper credit. and be like,
Yeah.
this is something I've made for myself. I really love this design by Foxanne, and that's what I've done, because that's my job. Like, I literally, for a living, license out my designs to t-shirt companies to print them on.
Yeah,
Do you know what I
exactly.
mean? But
And that's very valid.
If
Very
it's
valid.
for thing, and I found, and also obviously I don't know if this is in the same boat really, but I had someone once send me a picture of their gallery wall, and it had some of my artwork in, and I was like, oh, that's dead cute. That's really cute.
I think I remember you telling me.
That's really cute, that. And I was like, oh, that's really nice of them. And I was like, wait a second. That isn't a print. I don't sell that as a print. And I messaged her and I was like, hi, I'm just wondering, like, how have you got that? And they was like, oh, I saw it on Pinterest and I printed it off. And I was like, I feel really mixed about this. I don't really know how to feel, because you don't want to be a dick, but also you're really right to be. But also, don't print off my work.
I don't understand how anybody can do that
tag me in it.
And message you and feel okay about that morally.
Yeah.
I don't understand, but I think that...
Because if someone was to... So, for example, if someone doesn't know and someone was to go into... That's it. Someone was to go into their house and be like, oh, I really like that print. You're like, oh, it's Foxanne. They might think that quality of print, and obviously it's just been printed at home. They might think that that's my print. But like, I'm super mixed on it, because I'm like, yeah, like I would love my art to be accessible for everybody. Like, I would love it if like the people have artwork on the walls, and if they can't afford it, like, because obviously prints can be expensive, and it's you need disposable income. I don't really have a black and white opinion on it. I think everything's always situational, and everything's all dependent on what's going on. Because like, for example, if she would have been like a business, and like, do you know what I mean? Would have been a business, then that's different. But because it's her and she wants to practice, I think that's where it's all dependent on you. And I can't control if someone else takes my art and...
But it's still a shitty move, and it's still...
Yeah, I get that.
But in this situation... Yeah, in this situation... They are the arsehole, though. I know that you disagreed with me, but the artist has set their boundaries and they've gone against it.
I agree with that.
Yeah, that's where I think it's bad. And I know at the beginning I jumped straight in and I was like, yes, you are, you're the arsehole. Get out my face.
But there is an edit, right. So it says, edit. All right, so I've decided I will not continue to work in it, because now I see that I would be an arsehole to do so. So even after the original creator said that I couldn't, I understand that I'm not entitled to that design. I'm going to remove what I've already done so far. Maybe it's time for me to think about doing something of my own and do that instead. I also felt like I need to clarify some things which I thought was irrelevant before. Number one, that design is not a trademark logo that the creator would have spent a lot of money on. I wouldn't try to copy that. It's a silhouette outline of a celebrity. This is blurred. This now makes this different.
This is a very grey area with multiple shades of grey.
50 shades of grey, some may say.
Maybe even more. Maybe even 1,000.
So, number one that we need to take from this, anything that a creator makes automatically has copyright on them.
Yeah, I didn't get that whole thing about the trademark logo.
Yeah, it's not a trademark logo. You don't have to trade. If you're an artist and you create a piece of art, that's your intellectual property. That is automatically trademarked.
Isn't it Creative Commons? Is that right?
Something like that, but you do get copyright. Yeah, so anything that you make, that you create, automatically holds copyright, and you are the owner of that. No one can do anything. Change the colours, tweak it, take elements from it, because then that's infringing your copyrights, number one. So it doesn't have to be trademarked. You don't have to copyright it with the government. You automatically get copyright.
But I don't think that the world is knowledgeable on that. We're not educated on that.
No, we're not.
Which is why this person has said that.
And then it says, I wouldn't try to copy that. It's a silhouette outline of a celebrity.
So, if it's a silhouette outline, she's probably just traced it.
Yeah. So, some celebrities actually do have trademarked their faces. So I know of someone who used to do celebrity designs and sell them on to other companies. They then got a cease and desist because they can't, the copyright is weird and it's dead. Like, obviously, like I'm saying this, is like take it with a pinch of salt. But from what my understanding is, certain celebrities have actually had their faces copyrighted, so you can't create art with their faces in.
Yeah.
Unless it's tweaked in a certain way. I can't remember what it is. It's the same with Disney stuff.
Yeah.
And
I knew that.
cartoons and stuff like that.
Do you know what
the copyright is really blurred with it. And you have to be very careful on how you tread on it.
I remember so I sell cars on Thoughtful, and I did one with Baby Yoda a couple of years ago, or last year, and it was like Yoda Best or something.
Yeah.
It was actually quite cute.
Love that.
Happy birthday, Yoda Best. And they took it off because of copyright, because they're owned by Disney now, Star Wars.
Yeah.
But like so on Thoughtful, I do like characters from TV shows and stuff. And like celebrities, so I've done one like a Gemma Collins card.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, like, that's, whether they're a celebrity or not, that's somebody's face that I'm making money off. Like, if I became a celebrity overnight, that doesn't mean that people can just draw my face and make money off it. I would feel really violated about that. Does that come with the price of fame, or is that actually illegal? Like, because I'd like to know about that, because if it is, I would stop doing cards like that. I just don't know I just don't know.
Oh, okay. So, if you're listening from the US of A, there is something called a celebrity protection law, which makes people not able to create artwork with their face on it. In the UK, so it says, what if I want to use an image of a celebrity in my work? It says, in the UK, there are no specific celebrity protection laws, but it is illegal to place the image of any living person within a derogatory context or use their image for a commercial purpose without their expressed permission. Using a person's image for commercial purposes could expose you to a potential legal action for defamation and for passing off. Passing off means an infringement of the law. Yeah. You should also be aware of the risk of basing your work around any photographs of celebrities. You might be infringing a photographer or publisher's copyright.
Yeah, definitely photography.
So that's for images.
See, for me, I've never done anything in a derogatory way, but like when you look on, I mean, I don't know whether we're allowed to say like company names, but Thoughtful, there's like loads of stuff on there about like Boris Johnson.
I'm claustrophobic, Darren.
Well, yeah, but I don't think that's a defamation of character. No. We're just celebrating her.
I think the lines are really blurred.
Yeah, but like there's like Boris Johnson and like Donald Trump, where there is a defamation of character. We're making fun of them and we're making fun of the lockdown laws. People buy those cards, and it's like, is that illegal then? Because
so it says, can you sell a painting of a celebrity? You've no doubt seen paintings of others have done for well-known people and are inspired to paint one yourself. No problem with that. But from a legal standpoint, you may be wondering, can I sell a painting of a celebrity? You can sell a fine art painting of a celebrity as long as it's a transformative work of art. This means it needs to be artistic in nature, not just a faithful likeness. Right. The painting cannot copy an existing work of art, including a photo, and cannot interfere with a celebrity's right of publicity. Since this is different from taking a photograph for a newspaper or magazine, which is covered by editorial usage laws, there are different rules to follow the art world around, but it isn't an impossible task. If you do not have actual permission from the celebrity, you might need to tread lightly.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, some celebs probably wouldn't mind.
It seems like it's a grey area with it.
Like, yeah.
So, going back, so that's point number one. So they said the design is not a trademark logo and wouldn't want to copy that. It's a silhouette outline of a celebrity. That's already blurred lines for me, personally. I don't know.
50 Shades of Grey for sure.
50 Shades of Grey. Number two, I am not a clout chaser that seeks internet validation to artificially boost my confidence. I've been dealing with thoughts for a few months, and it was a coping escape mechanism I had developed because it really did make me feel a lot less miserable.
Oh my gosh.
People in the comments must be going for it. That's probably why she said that. Number three, the design that I loved so much is the celebrity who taught me to be kinder to myself. So I thought it would be something special if I handmade that for myself to wear. I didn't mean to steal anything, and I'm not a thief. I don't know how to make it clearer. Right, so obviously she's then responded to some comments. Let's see what some comments say. So the top comment is,
I'm sending love to her, or him, by the way.
Yeah.
That's very sad.
Yeah. Top comment, you are the arsehole. You are stealing someone else's work and you asked, they told. And then someone's commented under that saying, this OP, that is their intellectual property and copyright. You are the arsehole. Look, OP, I too am creative with sewing and embroidering, along with a lot of other crafts. I see designs I love. I know I can replicate it, but I don't because it's not my design. Even for me, if you do really want it, buy the item. And it's following back from your point. You are the arsehole. Why did you ask for permission and go and do it anyway? Stop stealing what others have created and start doing original art.
Yeah, I do think though that update has changed my mind a little bit.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. It's a very grey area. A very, very grey area. And I feel like I've said that about a million times this episode.
And someone's commented saying, not the arsehole. With just the original post, I interpret it to be that you had copied a design with the intent of selling or posting it, which could be a high arsehole move. But with your updates, you completely fine. To be honest, as long as you aren't posting it and claiming it as your design, you're generally fine. Like if you posted it side by side with the original, I really wouldn't have an issue unless the original was also embroidered. Like if someone used something I made as inspiration and recreated it with a different medium, I would be a little put off, but unless they were selling it and not giving credit, I really wouldn't care. And then put, yes, you are the arsehole if you post it online. If you don't post it and don't take credit for it, you will not be the arsehole. And then they've commented saying, what if I wore it in public? Then you would be an arsehole. You are stealing someone else's work with no compensation to the original artist and publicly displaying it. Fair enough.
Yeah, but also it depends, because see, I'm trying to picture it now. I feel like we're both very visual people. I'm trying to picture what this outline is. Is it a very stylized outline, or is it an outline that anybody could do if they had a photo? Do you know what I mean? If it's very stylized and it's obviously from that person's work, fair enough. But if it's just an outline of a person, I don't know. I doubt it would just be like a simple outline, but... So I reckon, I feel like this podcast is about 2 hours long. So once again, if you've made it to the end, you're a real one.
You're a real one. I hope you've enjoyed it. It's been a bit all over the place.
It has, but they're the podcasts I love the most, you know?
Been a bit chatty. Hope you've enjoyed it. If you want to keep updated with everything, go ahead. Go over to our Instagram, Do It For Yourself Podcast, and follow us on there. Follow our personal accounts. Mine is Foxanne_.
Mine is a very fancy Laura Francis Heitzman. If you do not know how to spell it, which you probably don't, I'm not going to spell it out to you right now.
It'll be either in the show notes or in the description, depending on if you are listening to it on a podcast streaming platform or if you are watching it on the YouTubes.
Also, you can find it on... So basically, the best thing to do probably is to just go on Do It For Yourself Podcast Instagram and then find us there.
We will
find us there. Just one click away.
But yeah, I hope you have had a very nice time.
I hope you've enjoyed the ride.
I'm in such a silly, goofy mood. I've hope you had a really nice time, and we will see you next time for another episode of the Do It For Yourself podcast.
Yeah, see you next Tuesday. Bye. Gorgeous.
What's the time? Say, Mr. Wolf. Dry your eyes, mate. Another somebody else's.
Oh, cat scratching. Oh, he's having a good scratch there.
It's okay to disappoint.
I've just realised I can't hit. I was thinking, wait, I can't hear myself. Oh, it's because I plugged it in. What an idiot. Oh, that's bloody gorgeous. Now I can hear myself. I was still recording myself, but I just couldn't hear it.
You was like, why? This is very quiet.
I was thinking something's not right here. This doesn't... Well, now I feel like a professional. I can hear myself.
I'm obsessed with mayonnaise. That mayo to hash brown ratio is on point.
But we need to be careful because the cat loves mayonnaise and potatoes. Move, baby, move. And I am your host, Laura. This I forgot. Wait, it's fine, because I could just cut that out. It's just more work for me.
Oh my god. Oh, what mayo all over my bloody pants.
Missed my line. I'm supposed to say, this podcast is about blah, blah, blah. Amanda, you better watch yourself. No.
Check yourself before you wreck yourself.
Don't stand on Roxanne's laptop, because you might delete the recording. Oh, he's good. He's listening to me.
Go on.
Good boy. Good. No! I'm sorry! Baby boy! You can't do that! Normally you don't. Get down. Go. Get down.
Get down.
Right, it. So yeah, what were we saying? No, it is annoying though because sometimes I'm like, hold on.
Go on.
Oh, sorry, I just burped again.
We're having a nightmare this day.
We need to not have any fizzy drinks. What are we doing?
We're having fizzy drinks. We're having taking breaks every 10 minutes to have hash browns.
And go back to your house.
Oh God, I can't. Oh, it'll be fine.
I feel like I'm flashing my knickers here. I need to make sure I'm. Oh, there we go. Right, should we get?
Oh no! Wow, that surprised me. Talk about you failing. Gorgeous girls.
And I'm your host Laura. This is a podcast for creative.
And I'm your host Laura. This is a podcast for creatives by creatives.
Oh wait, I'm about to burp. Mando, you're in a funny mood. Oh,
It's only okay if you fail. Nope.
it seems a bit. No. Sorry, my cat's trying to eat the mayonnaise off the plate with the hash brown. So we've just had an eventful 20 minutes.
Oh yes. Oh my goodness. I forgot to bring my laptop charger, and then my laptop ran out of battery, and I'm recording my audio on here, and I've also got the video going straight to my laptop. So we was like, oh my God, what if it's not recorded? And we've been recording for the past like 50 to 60 minutes. So I had to just get in a quick Uber, go home, get my my laptop is plugged in. I just looked at my laptop being like,
Yeah,
where
it is.
is it plugged in?
Don't worry, it's plugged in.
Oh, right, okay, get back.
But it's fine, we're back now.
Yeah.
Got the hash browns in the oven.
Oh, amazing.
And yeah, we need to pick up where we left off. So I said, we just had a look, didn't we? It said quick story time.
Quick story time.
So I think it was about failing. I know what it was about. So
It's about failing, because that's what the podcast is about.
yeah, so yeah, of course. I think it was about that. Yeah, no, it was. So, oh, bloody hell. We probably shouldn't be eating on this podcast, should we?
I don't know, I'm fucking hungry though. Oh no.
It's found the mayonnaise.
It's found the mayonnaise.
It's found it.
Look, your little butthole. Oh my God.
Oh, we did it.
That episode.
I think that's going to be the best one, that.
That episode is just.
I know it feels all over the place, but I think it's going to be great.